Hi guys, I'm Mike.
And I'm Stephen.
And this is Indy Fanatics, your home for IndyCar content with weekly podcasts and feature videos. Welcome back to the channel and to another feature video. Last time out we looked at the career to date of Colton Herta, so if you haven't already, check that one out. Don't forget, if there's a driver, team or topic you'd like us to look at in the future, comment below.
But today we are looking at street circuits. On the eve of IndyCar's newest street course race, the Music City GP in Nashville, we'll take a look at what makes a street course successful in IndyCar, why some have failed, and why we think the Music City GP is going to be a huge success. So let's jump right into it.
Street courses are one discipline of three that make the IndyCar calendar so challenging to be a part of. Twisting through tight turns at lightning speeds in city centres where the margin for error is so small that the slightest mistake can see you in the wall and out of the race. Narrow and bumpy in nature, overtaking is usually far more difficult than on road courses and ovals, and every move has to be calculated. Race starts are key, as well as the pit stops combined with who can put in the quickest in-laps and out-laps. There is something truly exhilarating watching drivers on the limit, centimetres away from the wall, with the backdrop of city centres behind them. There are 4 long-standing street courses on the IndyCar calendar, which the Music City GP will look to cement itself alongside this weekend. St. Petersburg, Detroit, Toronto, which unfortunately has been missed these last 2 seasons due to COVID, and Long Beach. But what has made these street courses successful and kept them on the calendar for so long?
Well, the first 2 street races we will look at is Long Beach and Detroit, as they are linked with their previous ties to F1. Long Beach is the longest running street race in North American history, with its first race being held in 1975 as part of the Formula 5000 series, and from 1976 to 1983 it was part of the Formula 1 calendar. Despite it being a very successful and exciting event on the F1 calendar, it was a financial risk that one poor running could have bankrupted the whole event. So in 1984 it moved to the kart calendar. Long Beach has been part of IndyCar's history ever since, staying on the kart and Champ Car calendars all the way up until 2008, hosting the final race in Champ Car, and has been on the IndyCar calendar since the reunification of the series. Where its success has come is not just from the exciting racing on track, but it has been used to market and rejuvenate the city of Long Beach that has turned it into one of the most stunning tracks visually on the IndyCar calendar. Now, Detroit hasn't had as smooth as running on the IndyCar calendar as Long Beach, but it has something any circuit would dream of having: Roger Penske. In 1982, the street track joined the Formula 1 calendar, but unlike Long Beach, it wasn't a popular track with the fans or drivers, and in 1988, the temporary pits were deemed unfit for purpose. The original track was in downtown by the Renaissance Centre, and although a circuit at Belle Isle had been discussed with F1, the idea was scrapped and CART picked up the race to add to their 1989 calendar. It suffered many of the same criticisms during its time on the F1 calendar and had its last race on the downtown circuit in 1991. In 1992, the temporary circuit was moved to Belle Isle and still suffered many teething problems and a lack of great racing, and was dropped from CART in 2001. But like we said, Detroit had Roger Penske, as it was his hometown race and was desperately important to him for the event to be a success. Its revival came in 2007 before it again made way on the calendar in 2009 due to the financial crisis in the area. But Penske was persistent to make it work, and in 2013 it was brought back as a doubleheader race weekend, which has remained on the calendar ever since, using the more popular and competitive long course Belle Isle circuit, first used between 1998 and 2001. It is an event that continues to grow year on year and is definitely strengthening its position on the IndyCar calendar.
Now we'll take a look at the other 2 remaining street courses on the calendar: Toronto and St. Petersburg. Toronto is the second longest running street race on the IndyCar calendar after Long Beach. It was brought onto the calendar after an unsuccessful race at Scenery Raceway in 1984, where Rick Mears sustained career-threatening injuries. The first race was in 1986 and was part of the kart and Champ Car calendar all the way up until the reunification. With a 1-year gap, it was brought back onto the IndyCar calendar in 2009 and has remained there ever since. It is the second largest attended sporting event event in Canada behind the Formula 1 race in Montreal, regularly attracting crowds of 170,000 people, and like Detroit, received backing from within the series, with Andretti Autosport purchasing the assets for the event in 2008. Its success has just come from the popularity of the event and is the home of IndyCar in Canada. The final race is the GP of St. Pete. It first began its association with IndyCar with kart back in 2003, but was cancelled the following year after disputes with the promoter and the collapse and liquidation of the kart series. It returned to IndyCar with the Indy Racing League in 2005 and became the first non-oval race in the series. It has been a part of the calendar ever since, with Andretti Promotions also helping to support the event, as well as the Firestone title sponsorship being secured in 2014. The track has become a fast-paced, exciting addition to the calendar that has often served as the season opener.
So there are the successful street courses on the IndyCar calendar. As expected, the main asset to these events are that they are popular and well attended, but also produce great track action. And as in the cases of Toronto and Detroit, having a major play in the series support the event, and its growth is a massive asset to longevity on the calendar. But let's have a look at a few failed recent street track events as well. Now, there have been multiple attempts at introducing different street circuits onto the calendar. To list a few: Edmonton, Baltimore, Boston, Sao Paulo, Surfers Paradise, Las Vegas, amongst others. Now, why did they fail? There are some great cities there, and also there were some brilliant street circuit layouts. The main simple reason was the promotion of either the series as a whole or the event was a mess. The Baltimore race had multiple promoters during its 3-year spell on the calendar, and IndyCar itself was going through the growing phase of having emerged from a reunification and trying to rebuild the brand after all the dispute and unease from the second split back in 1996. The fact is, IndyCar lacked clear direction, and outside the Indy 500 events, suffered as it was the clear understudy to NASCAR in the eyes of the American audience. Another large factor is money. It's expensive to host an IndyCar race, and the race in Sao Paulo was a prime example of that. It was a financial burden for the teams due to the travel, and they were offered 6-figure sums to assist. But it was eventually cancelled due to public prosecutors stating it was costing the local government too much and was not in the best interests of the people to host a race there. And a reason relating to Surfers Paradise in particular was scheduling issues. Finding a place for the series to head to Australia on the calendar was a tricky proposal, and one that seemed too hard to agree on in the end, as Surfers Paradise signed a deal with the A1GP and IndyCar continued on without the circuit.
IndyCar has had to work hard to be in the position it is today, and the main reason the current street tracks have remained on the calendar as they have had long-standing relationships with the series prior to the 2009 reunification. Nashville doesn't have that. It is the first time this street course has been run in any series, so what is going to make it a success opposed to the recent failures? For us, the first positive is the series is probably in its strongest position as a brand since before the second split in 1996. IndyCar is quickly becoming a motor racing series that people want to be a part of, whether that be new fans, drivers from rival series, or cities like Nashville wanting to host a race. The next thing in the Music City's favour is the way they have marketed themselves. Since its announcement, it has had a fantastic marketing campaign. It has promoted the series as a whole, as well as its own event. It has brought in sponsors and partners to the Music City GP, and everything has been a cohesive effort. They've used one of the series' most talented drivers in Joseph Newgarden as the poster boy and ambassador for the race, and it really feels like the event is working towards not only enjoying the race, but also Nashville itself. It feels like an event you want to be a part of. Nashville is a desirable place to visit anyway. Combine that with a weekend of racing and you have a great combo. The final reason, Roger Penske. Now that the captain owns the series and he has navigated it through what we hope is the worst of the COVID-19 pandemic world, the series could not be in better hands. A man who built his own brand and team to the most successful in the sport's history. A man who, like we have stated in this video, had a strong desire to make a race work in the form of Detroit. And Nashville is a big statement for Roger. It is the first new track that has been introduced to the series since he took over, so his success will go a long way to how he can negotiate with other events looking to be part of the calendar in the future, whether they be new or old. Penske needs Nashville to be a success, and Roger has shown throughout his time in business that when he needs to make something successful, he very often does.
But that's it for today's video, guys. We hope you have enjoyed learning a bit more about the street tracks in this series and on why we think the Music City GP will be a roaring success. From the iconic feature of a bridge being part of the racetrack, to the party atmosphere and buzz around the event, to hopefully an exciting action-packed race tomorrow. We hope you get behind the Music City GP and love the action on track.
So if they're new around here and haven't done so already, Stephen, what can they do?
They can like, subscribe and ding that bell.
Ding it! So for now, you Indy fans, keep racing!